resistance and leprosy. Emerging antimicrobial resistance and leprosy. Meat of the bacterial strain study showed resistance towards several drugs. A 6-year study carried out across 19 countries has now shown that antimicrobial resistance is emerging in leprosy cases. This global data shows that a total of 8% of the Mycobacterium leprae bacterial strain studied showed 2 mutations conferring resistance towards drugs such as rifampicin, dapsone, and ofloxacin. Rifampicin resistance was observed in about 5% of the relapse cases and in 2% of the new ones. India and Brazil top the list with more than 10 rifampicin-resistant cases each. Molecular methods. Assessing antimicrobial resistance has not been possible so far as M. leprae does not grow in vitro. Currently, there are only 2 techniques for studying M. leprae, the mouse foot pad technique and genetic analysis. As the former is time-consuming, we used molecular methods for detecting the resistance genes, explains Drive-UD. Gupta, National AALMA Institute of Leprosy and Other Mycobacterial Diseases, and one of the authors of the paper published in Clinical Microbiology and Infection. Global data showed that among the 1,932, 1,143 relapse and 789 new cases studied, 3.8% showed 2 mutations showing resistance to rifampicin. The number was 4.5% for dapsone and 1.1% for ofloxacin. Certain cases showed resistance to more than one drug. Globally, 20 cases showed rifampicin and dapsone resistance, 4 showed ofloxacin and dapsone resistance. Interestingly, there were no cases of resistance to rifampicin and ofloxacin together. More studies are needed to know in depth about this, he adds. In India, the study was carried out in 5 laboratories across the country. Among the 382 cases studied from India, 4.7% showed resistance to rifampicin, 6.4% dapsone resistant, and 4.4% ofloxacin resistant. In 1982, the multi-drug strategy was adopted to treat leprosy just when resistance to the then used drug, dapsone, was emerging. But now, after almost 4 decades, we are noticing rifampicin resistance. Though the numbers are not alarming, it is essential to continue monitoring, explains Dr. Joydeepa Darlong, head of research at the Leprosy Mission Trust of India. Relapse cases may be underdiagnosed as we rely on self-reporting and there is decreasing leprosy expertise. Unlike the routine regime rifampicin, dapsone, and clofazimine administered once a month and given free of cost, the alternative drug regime minocycline and ofloxacin given to drug-resistant patients is a daily dose, prescribed for 2 years, and is very expensive. The government has no provision to provide this free of cost, says Dr. Manukula Vania from Stanley Brown Lab of the Leprosy Mission Trust of India and one of the authors of the paper. Now, with the emergence of antimicrobial resistance, it also stresses the need for immediate notice, routine investigation, and establishment of proper treatment guidelines by the government. This is also a call for vigilance on the global use of antimicrobial agents, because ofloxacin resistance probably developed in relation to the general intake of antibiotics for other infections, as it is not part of the multi-drug combination used to treat leprosy, adds the report. Ofloxacin resistant cases were found to be the highest in India among the 19 countries studied. Antimicrobial resistance monitoring is now one of the core areas in the global leprosy strategy for 2016 to 2020, and who has recently released an updated guide on surveillance of antimicrobial resistance and leprosy.